As spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Last Fantasy, we have the South Korean Terran player. We have the blue Terran representing Shopify Rebellion. It is ByuN. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have the German Protoss player. We have the red Protoss representing Streamer Zone. It is Jumy. And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is. It is Gamba time. Predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will claim this series. Best of luck in the chat as we jump into our Terran versus Protoss matchup. Here we go. We have our TvP, and welcome to Last Fantasy. Again, Last Fantasy is a very rare sight. We rarely ever get to see Last Fantasy here. It is the most vetoed map in the map pool. It is a 3-player spawn map. You can spawn in top side, left side, and right side as well. So there's a little bit of randomness when it comes to your spawn location, and likewise a little bit of randomness when it comes to how early you scout your opponent as well. That may factor in. We have seen some players go for proxies, go for cheeses, and proxy dead set in the center of the map. We can see that is not the case, not between either one of these players. So far, so good. As Jumy does scout the top side, he'll confirm that ByuN is on the right side of the map. Likewise, Jumy sitting up here, back at home. 2-gate opener, okay. I mean, we saw this quite a lot earlier against Nicaract. Jumy was going for non-stop 2-gate openers game 1 and game 2, and with this probe, he can set up a proxy. Okay, my eyes are on Jumy. As we have an economic opener out of ByuN going rack expand into a delayed factory. Meanwhile, Jumy chronoing out those stalkers and setting up, the proxy pylon. Everything's lining up. It's like, everything's just lining up here for Jumy. Jumy's being hyper aggressive. ByuN is being hyper greedy. ByuN zero scouting, by the way. He doesn't know how aggressive Jumy is really being here with the proxy, with the extra gateways, with the stalkers are moving out. Jumy has potential to get damage done. Let's go. Let us go. As that is it, one base all in, okay? I apologize. In my brain, I just assumed that was just a gateway. I just assumed like a 3-gate setup here, but no, it is a robo 1 base all in. We have a 3rd gateway now being proxied across the map as well. But Jumy, he's doubling down. It's all or nothing, and we'll see if he can catch ByuN with his pants down. Because so far, the pants are down, by the way. The pants are down. ByuN sees nothing. He sees nothing, he knows nothing, and he's scouting the top side. Yeah, he's scouting the top side again. The scout is so very late. This is just so much greed out of ByuN, and this is where Jumy can pop off. Oh boy. Here we go. Este Jumy back. Hellion pokes in. Hellion confirms that Jumy's nowhere to be found. Moves down to the low ground. Moves down to the lower side, I should say. Coming in for the scouts. Stalkers are building up. Jumy does chase. Jumy will focus down. The Hellion does confirm there's no expansion. Back at home, we need a defensive setup. There we go. Bunkers on the way, but this is so late. It's such a late bunker. It's never going to finish. Yeah, it's never going to complete. Never going to complete. CC is denied, but we got to keep going. Cyclone is hopping out. The Immortal has arrived. Now we're spinning shots here on the CC. There we go. Now on the army. Loken is brutal, and 1 stalker goes down. Every stalker counts. Every stalker does count. Going for the sentry, that would have been useful a little bit earlier. The sentry is going to be ideal to force field the ramp to lock the army down. But again, now ByuN, he's just turtling up on 1 base. And pushing up this ramp is not going to be easy. So I feel like Jumy is losing momentum here, but the Prism is going to give him a high ground vision, allow him to juggle, allow him to break the lock-ons. And Jumy, he has to get damage done, but now there's a tank. Again, the longer this goes on, the stronger force ByuN is going to have. Yeah, the tank has arrived. Jumy, he does preserve his army. Yeah, the Prism does take a lot of damage though. It does take a lot of hits from the Viking. Yeah, Prism going to be forced back. The Immortal does push forward. The Immortal goes down. Massive pickup. Down goes the Immortal. The boys are being pulled. Can we get on top of the tank? Oh no, one more volley. One of us. Oh my god, the tank goes down. But another tank has arrived. Yeah, take one down. Another does rise to take its place. The tank is here. The boys as well. ByuN is holding. Again, a bit of a messy engage there by Jumy. And he's not breaking ByuN. It's not breaking ByuN, it's not breaking through. As we mentioned, there was potential. The prison was delayed. The initial move out, likewise, was lackluster. Didn't get on top of the army, didn't push up the ramp. And we spoke about it. The longer this goes on, the better it is for ByuN. ByuN is a one-based economy, but he does have double CCs, got double mules. Jumy has not expanded. The best that Jumy can hope for, and I don't think it's going to happen, is for ByuN to push down to the low ground. Like, if ByuN gets caught unsieged on the low ground, then Jumy can pop off. ByuN at most, good to go for drop play. But he is very secure. Now with 3 tanks, this ramp is never going to be broken. And Jumy, it's a tough call to make, but... is this where we expand? It might be too late for that, unfortunately. And here comes a natural. Getting it set up. So we have charge on the way. Jumy moving in. I mean, again, the ideal for Jumy is to fight out of range of these tanks, right? If Jumy can force a fight out of range. But now the tanks move down to low ground. Oof. Brutal tank shots going up. Jumy still has a comparable army to his opponent. And we can see he's rotating up potentially into the main, thinking about it. The prism goes down and no high ground vision. Oof. SimCity is brutal. There's a turret as well in case there were to be Dark Templar, so safety turret on the low ground. Speaking of, Dark Shrine is on the way. Scan reveals there's no expansion, so ByuN, he knows that he's ahead. He knows that he's getting further ahead. And the one thing Jumy's hoping for is, again, for ByuN to make a mistake. Like, the one chance I would say that Jumy has is if ByuN mass on sieges. If he mass on sieges, if he moves out, like, too soon, gets caught on siege, then maybe Jumy can take one good fight and then just snowball from there. But that's his hope. Meanwhile, ByuN, there's no need to push. Remember, Jumy has no expansion. Like, ByuN can just chill. That's a great call to make. Yeah, Zelsay down on top of the bunker. The bunker does stand strong. Yeah, the Zelsay go down instantly. Immortals, they get 1 tank, but only 2 tanks go down. GG gets called. ByuN, he holds, he defends, and ByuN takes game number 1. Whew, GG. Gonna solid game out of ByuN. I will say that ByuN, he had very limited scouting at the start of the game. Everything was lining up for Jumy, but Jumy took so long to push up into the bases. Remember the time that I want to say that there was an extended period of time between his first Immortal and his first War Prism where they weren't built back to back, where we were just waiting a little bit too long there. Likewise with the first push, didn't try to force himself up the ramp either. It did, like, as time went on, it was getting better and better and better there for ByuN. In the end, he was able to defend, able to get his tank out, able to secure his main base. GG, well played. Whew. And with that, ByuN does take a lead. But I could see a world where Jumy could have pulled that off. For sure, for sure. I can see a world where, I mean, again, everything was lining up for the most part. But now we're getting into game number 2. Going to be loading into Tokamak. Tokamak being one of the larger maps in the map pool. All-ins and aggression can be favored on Last Fantasy. Here on Tokamak, we typically lean towards longer games. Typically. Of course, there's still the opportunity here for Jumy to go for an all-in, to go for a proxy, try to catch ByuN off guard. But after game 1, I feel like ByuN's going to be on notice. And here we go, spawning in the top right-hand corner of Tokamak, we have the South Korean Terran player. We have the blue Terran representing Shopify Rebellion. It is ByuN. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Terran player, the red Protoss. The red Protoss player from the land of Germany, representing Streamer Zone. It is Jumy. Here we go. Whew. As we're getting into our second game. As we're loading into Tokamak, again, Tokamak has a much longer rush distance by ground, a much larger map, much more defensive as well, much more defendable on 3 and 4 bases. So we'll see how both ByuN and Jumy will approach this. ByuN now there's a higher chance for him to go for something more economic, likewise Jumy as well. We'll see how we adjust the approach. Oh, yep, straight up, Nexus first. Speaking of economic openers, I mean, I was expecting, you know, like, Rax expand here out of ByuN, but straight up Nexus first, okay, I mean, that also works as well. Again, we go from one extreme to the other. Last Fantasy, one base all in. Here on Tokamak, insanely fast natural, and from here we can go into an insanely fast third base as well. This is applicable to both players. We'll see how greedy ByuN also plans on being. Now, just because the opener is insanely greedy doesn't mean that we can't turn this into a 2-base all-in. We'll keep an eye on Jumy's gate count, on his tech of choice, on how he does open up into the mid-game. See chat going for DTs. I did notice that was before the Dark Shrine was thrown down. Going for DTs there, I mean, I guess as always, it's always an uphill battle if you're in Jumy's position, just because as the all-in was failing, it was just getting worse and worse. I mean, that's why it's an all-in, right? Once it fails, you fall further and further behind, and it's so difficult to recover. It's difficult to make DTs work in that scenario, not just because ByuN already had it, or just because he got a safety turret on low ground, but because he already had 2 CCs. Because of that, he has more potential for there to be a scan available over a mule. So, I mean, again, it is a gamble nonetheless, but I mean, you could argue that we could have maybe seen an earlier Dark Shrine and earlier DTs in the hopes that ByuN would be muling and would not be preserving a scan. Like that, I guess that is a gamble that you could take. True. Like, there are a couple of different things you can try to pull off in that situation. Like, you can also try to go into something like Disruptors and try to land some juicy Novas and pop off that way. Like, there are some other like weird and quirky kind of setups that you can go for as a follow-up to a failed all-in. Here we go. As we have our Twilight Council as our tech of choice. So far we have a 2-gate setup, and we'll see if we go for any other gates. And yeah, I was curious about this third base. Bam! Right into a third base. So 2 gates blink straight into a third. So very greedy build here from Jumy with the Nexus first, with the 2-gate into a third base as well. I do actually really like this specifically against ByuN. For those that maybe are a little bit less familiar with ByuN's playstyle in Terran vs Protoss, ByuN, he very rarely goes for 2-base all-ins. We speak about this all the time, but out of all the Korean Terran players, out of Gumiho, Ryung, Bonnie, Maru, Kyor, and ByuN, he is the most macro-oriented. He is the most player, he's the player that is the most likely to get a 3rd CC. To work towards a 3rd CC, to not pull the boys, and to head into a longer macro game. So I do really like this decision here by Jumy, but what's important is that yes, ByuN is least likely to go into these all-ins, doesn't mean he's going to be passive, and that doesn't mean that he cannot go for all-ins. So we'll see what ByuN goes for, we'll see if ByuN can punish Jumy. Widowmine drop does come in, Jumy does pull away, and so far losing only 1 probe. And 1 probe goes down, 2nd Widowmine into the natural, shot is still available, and Jumy pulls away. Jumy, he does pull away in time. Oh. Wood Mine is going to be cleaned up, gets 2 probe kills, but hey, does 9 mining time here at the natural. At the same time, the main army does push in towards the third base. Jumy out of position, very nice damage here by ByuN. And behind this, they're building up towards Cloak Banshee. Tanks are building up as well, rallying everything across the map. And Jumy, this third base, and we spoke about how greedy Jumy was being, and he's being punished for that greed. He's being punished for it. Can he get on top of that tank? Looks like he can, looks like he will, and he will save the base. Hey, not bad. Not bad. Jumy, what did he lose? He lost a pylon, I want to say. Yeah, he lost a pylon, he lost a shield battery, he lost some buildings, mining time was denied, but he didn't lose any probes. You can see here the probes that were saved. Probes were saved. Nice defense here by Jumy. Jumy holds, Jumy defends, and Jumy so far has gotten away with his third. ByuN tried to punish, but no significant damage. And I would say that now Jumy's in a better position. Jumy now, he's going to be able to enjoy a greater economy faster. Oh, I spoke too soon. Oh, I spoke too soon. The Banshee does hit the field. And no detection. Double Forge. Oh, double Forge. No Robo. 0 detection. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, back at home, we do see that ByuN does defend. And this Banshee is doing critical damage. Oh, no. Up until this moment, everything was fine. But Jumy was not ready for Cloak Banshee. The invisible flying machine. There's just nothing. There's no observer, there's no forge, there's no cannon. Well, there's a forge, I should say. Cannon is on the way, there's no Stargate, there's no Oracle. Observer just now begins, that's gonna be 22. 24, oh god. 25, 26. Can we get up to 30? Can we get there? 29. You can get Auto Ass, baby. 30 probe kills to 2 Banshees. And one of them barely does not get away. 31 probes, 2 Banshees. That is critical. That is game-ending damage. Ay, ay, ay. Jumy is doing well. He's doing so well here. But again, the greed of going double forge before the Robo. The Robo was heavily delayed, of course, after the third base, but after the double forge as well. And with that, Jumy, he was punished for his greed. Just a little bit too greedy here against ByuN. All he needed was detection, but hey, that's a tall ask. And with that, ByuN, he's miles ahead. ByuN, he has a booming economy. He's getting the sim, combat shields, building up his bio, building up his tanks. ByuN has double the supply, and here the soup is not lying. Here the soup, it is not lying. He can soon push. Este Jumy. Ay, ay, ay. As Jumy blinks into the main base, he can deny combat shields. It's not bad. Denies combat shields. ByuN, he ignores it. Yeah, he doesn't even care. He doesn't even care. Oh, no, he cares. Okay. Does care a little bit. Zelda coming in. ByuN turns back around. Okay. Jumy buying some time. Ooh, doesn't get in there. Yeah, he doesn't get into the main. Stalkers are doing what they can. Zelts are going to be thrown away. Yeah, that was not ideal. Does buy time, does drag ByuN back home, blinks out of the main base. Like, these are nice moves out of Jumy. If only he wasn't down 50 supply. Unfortunately, these are desperation moves out of Jumy. Speaking of desperation, though, does catch 2 tanks. Okay. Did I say 2 is going to get... Yeah, barely both tanks. Both tanks do go down, but the Pyro army stands strong. GG gets called as ByuN overwhelms them. ByuN, he will take the series 2-0, advancing on to the semi-finals. GG. Whew, GG, well played. And again, Jumy, he wasn't looking too bad in that game. He was very greedy, going Nexus first, going into the third Nexus after the only 2 gates setup as well, being very greedy, and unfortunately just a little bit too greedy. He was keeping up with the mine drop, he was keeping up with the tank push, but he was unable to keep up with the Cloak Banshee, as there was 0 detection. 31 probe kills. 31 probe kills before the Observer arrived. That was critical damage. GG. GG, well played. With that, congratulations. ByuN, who'll be the first player to advance on to the semi-finals, and the question becomes, who will play against him? Let's go. Let us go. Here we go. But shout out to Jumy, of course. Shout out to Jumy for competing, for taking part. Oh. For competing, taking part, for going up against ByuN. And again, in these two games, like, I can see a world where Jumy could have definitely pulled it off over ByuN regarding game 1 and game 2 as well. But alas, in the end, it did fall by the wayside. It did go down. Congratulations nonetheless, and best of luck to Jumy when it comes to tonight's broadcast. I know that he's going to be competing in Uthermal's 2v2 circuit and 2v2 main event that's going to be later on tonight, so best of luck to Jumy, as he will, I'm sure, be preparing for that. As we can catch up on the rest of the bracket. Let's go. Let us go.